today's webinar, Leverage Big Energy Savings with Advances in LED Lighting, sponsored by e-conolight. I'm your host, Timothy Johnson, digital editor for Electrical Contractor magazine. Before we get started, I need to go over some housekeeping items. The audio for today's presentation should be coming through your computer speakers or headphones. If you prefer to call in, there's a toll-free number in the event info panel. If you have other difficulties, please reach out to me using the chat window. Also, please note that today's presentation is being recorded, so if you miss anything or something comes up and you have to leave, you can come back at your convenience. Finally, there will be a time for Q&A after the presentation. You can submit questions to the Q&A box or comments in the chat box. If you're having trouble finding these features, hover over your mouse at the top of your screen. The control panel will drop down and you should see those options there. Our presenter today is James Schott. James is an indoor product portfolio manager at Cree, focusing on LED retrofit and new construction downlights and lamps for both the residential and commercial space. He has worked extensively with engineers, maintenance, and facility managers for both public and private institutions. James works closely with end customers and industry experts to understand the requirements needed to meet key business objectives when considering upgrades or new product development. On behalf of Electrical Contractor magazine, I want to thank you all for attending. Now I'm going to hand it over to James Schott to get started. James?
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited here today to talk a little bit about LED technology and how you can leverage big energy savings and more with advancements that are happening in the LED lighting space. So without further ado, I'll get started. So I just want to give a brief overview of what we're going to be discussing today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the progression of energy efficiency from sort of the past to then to now and where we are today. Energy trends overview. I'll provide a brief overview of some of the things we're seeing in the electrical consumption and what's going on with that over the last decade or so. I'll talk a little bit about how far can LED lighting technology take us, and then how is that LED technology actually take us beyond light, and talk about a few of those cool things that are going to be happening in the space. And as Tim mentioned, we'll be doing a quick Q&A towards the end. So a couple of the key learnings and takeaways I'm hoping to highlight today with this presentation is we're going to take a look at and analyze the efficacy of LED technology compared to some of the other traditional fluorescent metal halide technology today. Learn how continuous improvement in LED technology will benefit how we light our spaces, and then also gain some insight into where LED technology can go, how long will it take us to get there, and kind of other different types of applications and different features that might be added on to LED technology in the future, as well as examine, as I mentioned, the energy and the market trends, which is what we'll kind of talk about a little bit now. So energy efficacy and efficiency, kind of then and now. So where have we come from and where are we today? So if you look at the last 7 years of progress with traditional lighting, and I've kind of highlighted fluorescent lighting here, as you can see, there hasn't been a lot of innovation as far as efficacy and what we get out of that type of lighting, with us kind of capping at about 80 lumens per watt, still better than an incandescent, but as you'll see on the next slide with LEDs, not quite where we're at with this new LED technology. But as you can see, we've come a little bit of a way, and there was some innovation through the 20th century, but at the last 20 or 30 years, this technology has really topped out at about 80 lumens per watt. If we take a look at where we're at now with the introduction of LED fixtures into the space, you can see that we passed sort of that 80 lumen per watt efficacy rating there with fluorescence earlier in the 2000s, and we continue to see a lot of innovation and a lot of efficacy improvements made with these types of products in this space. When you combine that with some of the other features of LED technology that I'll talk about, it really becomes very clear that you get the bang for your buck with going with LED versus some of the other traditional options that have been there in the past. So what does this mean for the everyday contractor or for everyday job? I've kind of laid out just what would kind of just a regular run-of-the-mill type of an indoor job would look like with a 3-lamp T8 troffer that would be a fluorescent. which would be about 90 watts of usage with that. I've taken an LED upgrade of an LED troffer here. There's also LED T8s now on the market as well, retrofit T8s that you can use, but I've used the high efficiency LED troffer here. And you can see from a wattage perspective, that's a huge energy reduction in 66% versus the old traditional technology. From a dollars and cents perspective, I ran the numbers on this scenario specifically. Again, you're saving about 59 watts, and assuming you're talking about the national commercial price of a kilowatt of about 10 to 11 cents, you're looking at just annually, assuming kind of normal usage, about $38 to $39 saved just on this basic one three-lamp T8 replacement job, just a typical job there. So as you can see, the payback on LED and the price savings that you can get for the lumens per watt is huge with this new technology. Quickly, I'll talk a little bit about the energy trends and kind of what we're seeing as far as gas and electric energy, and why does this type of savings matter. This is a chart that highlights energy efficiency programs that have been running in North America, specifically trying to reduce the impact of peak electric demand over that time. So basically, we've seen such an increase in energy that these utility programs have to come in and try to find ways to try and stop that. This is both with U.S. gas and electric together, and then here it just focuses on the electric demand. And you can see that it's continued to rise, and I know it ends there at 2014. We've seen that kind of level of dollars being spent to sort of reduce the amount of energy on the out there being used all the way up to about 2017, 2018. There's still about $7 billion being used there. So as I say there at the top, electric demand is up 28%. You know, and when you think about that, it doesn't come as much of a surprise. We've seen a lot of new construction in the commercial real estate space. You know, a lot of new home development. The economy is doing obviously very well in that time frame. There's also been a huge proliferation of things that are getting plugged into the wall, right? More computers, more smartphones than ever, a lot of smart devices, et cetera, both in the commercial office space and at home. It's definitely making an impact out there. So whether it's companies, customers, people at home, everybody is looking for ways to try and save some cost and certainly save some money on energy. And we think LED lighting can help take a bite out of that increase in spending. So as far as I was talking about, as far as taking demand off the grid, there's sort of four main ways to do that, right? We can all use less, and that's where I think this LED technology really comes into play here, right? As I just showed through the lower wattage and the better efficacy. You're using less power through LED than you are traditional fluorescent or, again, halogen and incandescent options. You know, changing the consumption time, we all know that also helps. And I'll talk a little bit about some things that are happening a little bit in the intelligence space with LED lighting that can kind of help with some of that, as well as with controlling the light as far as having automated type programming again with some intelligent lighting type stuff. We're allowed that kind of technology and features with LEDs. I did want to highlight here DLC, which is an organization that's dedicated to accelerating the adoption of high-performing, energy-efficient lighting solutions. You know, the market really looks to them to set the standard as far as what makes an LED fixture, well, any fixture really energy efficient. But as I just kind of said there, really with where those standards are today, really they basically recommend solely those LED technology to provide that kind of energy efficiency that you're looking for. You know, if you're a contractor looking to try and take advantage of maybe some energy rebates that may exist in your area through utilities, DLC is sort of the DLC certified or DLC premium products are sort of the ticket to play there. And there's ways for you to save money on jobs through using those types of programs. But you want to make sure that those fixtures that you're using, which, like I said, have to be LED, do have that DLC standard or DL premium listing. So I've kind of highlighted a little bit of where LED is and its benefits today, but how far can it take us? So this kind of shows the improvements and the innovation that's been made with LEDs in the last I don't know, 12 or 13 years or so. And you can see that the efficiency and the pricing on all of these LEDs has come way down. You can also see that those LEDs have gotten smaller, which has allowed the technology and the implementation of LED technology into more different types of fixtures, narrow fixtures, tough spaces, tough places to light. With LED technology and these new small LEDs, we're able to find more lighting applications for those kinds of spaces where fluorescent maybe wasn't necessarily a play in the past. But as you can see, the innovation is going to continue, and we see the market as far as continuing to innovate and continuing to offer better efficacy products at better pricing. And as I said, we expect that to continue. So what are the main positives of LED technology? And I'll just kind of run through here. I mean, the first one is, as I've said, right out of the box, you're saving a lot of money, and you're saving a lot of energy, and we've kind of already highlighted that. From a lifetime perspective, these types of the LED products last much longer than traditional. Fluorescent, metal halide, incandescent, as I've mentioned. You know, LED lasts significantly longer, 5 times longer on average than normal fluorescent. Fluorescent lamps, etc. But not to mention that there's these other types of traditional technologies, lifetimes can be acted by switching on and off frequently, especially I'm thinking about fluorescent in that case. So LED kind of takes care of all those problems. Low maintenance and doesn't require careful handling is a big one, especially for installers, right? So that longer life and the quality product and the quality of the LEDs, et cetera, allows it to basically perform at a high level at the lumen output that it's rated at for a long period of time. And so therefore, you don't need to be going up there all the time and revisiting jobs, et cetera, and having to do a lot of replacement or anything like that. LED with its technology is able to last a lot longer than the other options. And it doesn't require careful handling. You know, when you think about fluorescence, you think about some of the mercury stuff that you can find sometimes in fluorescence, and the careful handling that needs to happen with that type of technology. You're avoiding that, obviously, when you choose LED. The quietness of LEDs with the no buzz, no hum, which you can get in obviously traditional types of lighting as well. Another one here, the lifetimes are rated for extremes and not ideals. And this is mostly a focus on the ambient temperatures. You know, when you look at LED, they're rated and tested at a very wide range of ambient operating temperatures. And can perform at very low temperatures when it's cold outside, or really, really hot. And the performance of that product and the lumen output that you're getting isn't impacted by that kind of environment, which makes it a better choice than some of the other traditional. And then the zero strike time with the instant on, instant off. If you think about metal halide, that's one of the negatives of that kind of technology. In certain applications, it can take a very long time to start up. Fluorescent lamps, you can kind of see a brief warm-up period as well. That obviously is kind of gone away with this new LED technology. So if we look kind of beyond the efficiency, how can LED actually improve your next installation from just maybe providing more than just light, whether it's with additional new applications with this new technology, or again, as I sort of mentioned, with some intelligent lighting type stuff. So we'll kind of dive into that. But yeah, I did want to highlight that LED enables design freedom. So LEDs really open up options for how spaces can be lit, again, with the size of the LEDs and what they're able to do now in these different form factors. And I have here, since LEDs are so robust, designing them into spaces with varying ambient temperatures is never an issue. I highlighted that in the last slide. This is a more robust technology, so if you're talking about a very hot warehouse environment or something like that, even in certain outdoor applications, you don't have to worry about really cold or hot temperatures. It's a robust technology, and again, when those fixtures are tested, they're tested at those extremes, not ideal temperatures, unlike some traditional technology. If you're worried about the color consistency over life, as far as the fixture looking the same as it today as it did a year or two ago, LEDs got you covered. Superior color uniformity over the lifetime of the product, and you know it's a part of some of the DLC, and for lamps and downlights, some of the Energy Star requirements too, is to kind of understand that color consistency over the rated lifetime of the product. LEDs open the creativity of designing into spaces traditional lighting just couldn't go. If you think about rope lighting, stuff like that, more narrow apertures, the LEDs give us the freedom to be able to light those places, unlike with what we've been able to do with traditional light sources before. So LED lighting is future-proof. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you're on a job or you've got something out there where there's been a discussion about lighting controls, or if I wanted to integrate these fixtures that are being installed into possibly a smart lighting system, whether that's in an office building, school, hospital, or a home. Adding controls to an LED post-installation really is easy and is really the prime technology for being able to basically keep those featured add-ons open. I've kind of highlighted a few here as far as advanced dimming, so including occupancy sensing, and daylight harvesting for more energy savings. Integrated building controls, if you're working with an HVAC and everything, your lighting system, your LED lighting system specifically can all be kind of worked into your HVAC and everything else, obviously depending on what that integrated control looks like. And then intelligent lighting connection into future analytics, alerting optimization of space, enhanced security control. So if it's an office building and the technology with LED is, you could tell how often conference room spaces are being used, stuff like that, how many people traffic outside certain buildings, to kind of understand people flow, security, all that stuff. LED lighting and where we're at today allows those types of features to be added at a later date with where the technology is at. You can kind of see the module there in that picture on the right is just one example of things that can be done to add on to an LED fixture. So talk a little bit about LED technology taking us just beyond light. So you can see those three very happy people there enjoying their time at work. It really does improve comfort, satisfaction, and productivity of people where they work, study, and heal, which I'll talk about in a second with hospital. But increases the value, security, and operating efficiency of the buildings. From a sustainability standpoint, again, when you get back to that energy efficiency that you get with the LED lighting, it makes those spaces in commercial real estate obviously a lot more attractive when you've got those types of LED fixtures installed, and that's where I kind of highlight it. Makes building more efficient and profitable for companies or whatever the customer may be. So I want to highlight just a few kind of examples of where LED lighting may come in handy, and this one kind of highlights hospitals. So as I say here, adjustable color temperature and exceptional color quality improve the well-being. From light changes from outside, as we know, from sort of the warmer white color to a more natural white, then to cooler, and then it obviously comes back down at sunset to a very warm color. Our bodies are sort of used to this type of rhythm, and having LED lighting, certainly if it's more of an intelligent lighting type of application, certainly in a hospital, but providing those kinds of different types of light can really help. Actually, there's been studies to show that it can be that kind of light and having the right type of light can help in reducing fatigue, improving alertness, and reducing depression in some certain cases in hospitals. And in other places. So LED technology, with having that flexibility where we wouldn't necessarily have it in the traditional spaces, helps with that. I talked a little about the smart thing. Apps may automatically adjust the color and intensity to reduce noise. Again, with this new technology and having these types of smart applications to kind of go along with it, you can really really capitalize on that LED technology, and then increase in basically positive ratings for your hospitals, et cetera, because of that. So that just is kind of one overview of why LED makes sense for a hospital. I've highlighted here also kind of a school, with basically having lighting intuitively adaptable to learning conditions. We found that the uniformity in the light here really makes it easier without the flickering, et cetera, that you maybe see in traditional lighting applications. You don't see as much of that, so it helps students focus in the classroom. Obviously the studies have been done that more cool light, somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 K, is actually kind of the prime prime color for this kind of space, helps students to focus and concentrate and learn. And as I said, you know, LED can help, and these types of applications can help at times reduce some glare, and as I said, limit the flicker. So again, makes sense really for a student. And one other thing I would add here too is the cost savings that you can have in these types of applications with that LED technology over the fluorescent, going back to what I mentioned earlier. And as far as LEDs making space, can make spaces more secure. Outdoor spaces here. LEDs have better visual acuity, can offer that, making it easier for security to identify suspicious activity. It's got crisper and more even light, can help remove shadows, glare in some recessed areas, decreases the risk of tripping or kind of blind spots that may exist in the lights. LED luminaires, again, as I've said, last much, much longer, which means after you install it, you know, no more spot relamping, again, lower maintenance associated with that. And then I mentioned a little bit about some of that occupancy data and how that can be integrated with this new LED technology for with security apps to detect abnormal activity and notify security and stuff like that. So as you can see, I tried to highlight a few different applications that where LED makes sense and where the LED technology may you know, may help even with the future as more innovation happens in the space. So when you look at LED, it's just more than an upgrade. It's a transformation. It signals a sustainable future, lower cost, safer, more productive. Like I said, saves money on maintenance, et cetera. At this point, I wanted to highlight our website here, e-conolight.com, which offers a full line of every lighting type of fixture that you could look for: wall packs, wall mounts, floodlights, area lights, downlights, canopies, etc. And full line at great pricing. All of these products are fully tested, more so than average, that appear on this site, and we offer a lot of service as well, with installation troubleshooting that you can do online, guidance on what light works. We obviously can call as well and talk to our customer service, but we offer fast shipping, easy returns, etc. But it's a great spot, a go-to spot for any lighting fixture, LED lighting fixture that you're looking for. And that about wraps it up for me. I really appreciate the time today, and hopefully you learned something about LED technology and the value that it offers.
Great. Thanks, James. Now we want to open up the floor to discussion and comments and questions. Thanks to those of you who have already submitted your questions and sent me your comments in chat. If others have any questions or comments, please feel free to submit them in the Q&A box at the bottom right of your screen. So we're just going to roll right in. First question, James, how do I convince my customer to use LED? They look at the price and have sticker shock. What should I say to them?
Yeah, so, you know, I think that there's this, there may be the stigma out there about LEDs are still really expensive, et cetera. You know, I showed it there on one of the graphs about how LED pricing, fixture pricing has really come down pretty rapidly in recent years. But with that being said, we talked about the example of the 3 T8 lamps as far as the payback. The payback on this that you're saving on the energy costs really makes it a no-brainer. And so if the customer is really concerned about the cost, you know, from a payback perspective, LED is really the right solution, and you're getting all those added benefits that I talked about with the longer lifetimes, the color consistency, consistent lumen output, et cetera. So, you know, that's what, and as part of the innovation that's going on in that space as well, you're going to continue to see, I think, pricing continue to go a little bit lower with that kind of same type of performance, if not better performance.
Gotcha. Yeah, that answers the next question that came in, which was, I've been doing this for 25 years. I love where LEDs are taking things, but many customers have a hard time with upfront costs, and they wanted to know how they could best LEDs over traditional lighting. So I think you covered that pretty well, right?
Yeah, I would say so. And, you know, I mean, I would highlight here, you know, e-conolight.com has very competitive pricing, even when you compare it against other traditional lighting technology. So, you know, I would obviously encourage people to go there and check that out. But, yeah, as I said, it's becoming much more competitive. You know, if I think about product I work on every day with the T8s, you're seeing those LED T8 pricing come way, way down to be very much close to in line with the fluorescent and the more traditional lighting. lighting. So I think you're going to continue to see that. But again, it's important to think about that payback as well. And I know that there can be that initial sticker shock, but if you can kind of communicate to the customer about the paybacks involved with the more efficient lighting and the money they're saving on energy, that's a big help as well.
Yeah. I think you touched on this in your presentation about the simplicity of LEDs. But this question is, how does LED make an EC's job easier?
Is it like an electrical contractor's job easier? Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about it, ease of installation, you know, when you think about fluorescence and more traditional lighting type stuff, thinking specifically about fluorescent here, you know, there's a ballast typically involved. On most LED technology, that's eliminated. So you don't have to worry about ballast life or compatibility issues that might exist with the ballast. You know, that can sometimes complicate installations. You avoid that with LED technology. In a lot of places, the LED fixture there have been a lot of LED fixtures made and developed to help retrofit into all different types of previous lighting situations. I think the industry and a lot of the market has made it very, very easy to install and basically make it as easy as using if you're replacing a traditional light source, makes it as easy to use an LED fixture as opposed to another more traditional lighting source. So that helps, and I would also throw in the fact that you're not having to go up into a ceiling or going up to a same job or visiting a job site all the time because of that longer life and because of that stability and the quality that you see in the LED technology.
Great. Next question, will they last longer than 25 years?
Yeah, obviously it depends on the rating of, I mean, for the most part, yes, but it depends on the fixture. It depends on the rating of the LEDs. You know, there's a lot of different type of LED technology and a lot of different types of products. But yeah, for the most part, if you look at high base, certainly, if you look at other, you know, types of downlights, you know, et cetera, all of those offer LED solutions that can last longer than 25 years. So, and that's the only lighting technology that's out there today that can offer that, obviously offer that kind of lifespan.
Gotcha. I think it also depends on use, right, and environment.
And that's a huge part of it too, right? Yeah. So if you're in a high-base situation, warehousing, where the lighting's on for 24 hours, but even with all that being said, you can still find fixtures that will last up you know. There are fixtures out there, and the lifetimes and all that stuff that's continuing to be a part of the innovation that's happening in the market is trying to extend that lifetime, no matter what the fixture is, to the max that we can get it to.
Gotcha. This next question is, I guess they're just wondering what the reason for having dimmable as well as non-dimmable LEDs. Why not have dimmable LEDs be the standard? I guess, is there like a cost differential there, or is there any kind of challenge in the engineering that would justify that?
Yeah, you're exactly right about that, Tim. It has to deal a little bit more with the costs. So, you know, as you mentioned at the beginning, I focus more on lamps. You can find kind of non-dimmable LED lamps and dimmable LED lamps. The reason for that is there actually is a cost adder for dimmability in some of that stuff, and so it's to provide if there's a job or an application where, you know, dimming isn't necessarily a feature, you can get a product at a better price than you can with a dimmable product. I would say as we kind of go into the future and we continue to innovate, excuse me, you know, you may start to see that dimmable is the base standard, but where we're at today, that's mostly just a cost thing that's driving that and that option availability.
Gotcha. Next question. Do you have a resource available for determining color temp when we are replacing other types of lighting?
Yeah, absolutely. You can call e-conolight, and if you've got the whatever it is, lamp, whatever fixture that you're replacing, you know, and you can take a picture of it or something, we can help. The team can help to identify what color point that is, and then be able to find you a solution that would make an LED solution that would make fit for that color point.
What's the best way to reach you guys?
You can go on our website, www.e-conolight.com. You can see it there. And it's got our contact information as well as our full product catalog as well. And you can take a look through all the products. It's very easy to use. And then through there, you can also find the contact information for our customer service team, which can kind of help you with some of the things I talked about as far as installation troubleshooting, again, guidance on what light works for that space. So again, if you've got confusion over a CCT or something like that, our team can help with that. We also have a team. I didn't mention this. I think it was on the slide, but if you're working on a project and figuring out what's the best layout plan for the lighting fixtures that or that I bought on e-conolight, we also have a team that can help you with that to basically make the most out of the fixtures that you've bought. So again, just go to e-conolight.com and that's the way to go.
I'm going to jump a little ahead because there's another question that sort of relates to this as this is color temp. What do you recommend for contractors specifying LEDs who are replacing legacy technologies in terms of avoiding overlighting? So I guess the question's about matching the lumen output and how do you measure the lumen output of what is there and matching that.
So here's the one thing I would say on that. So obviously there's many types of different LED fixtures rated for different lumen levels, and that's just a matter of, the amount of LEDs that are being put into the fixture. The one thing I would say is that especially I'm thinking sort of like in high bays right now, where you might see, like in a metal halide high bay, the lumen output start to lose its luster after a few years after installation. And that it's important to, if you're evaluating a space and you're replacing one of those, it's important to kind of understand it may have been rated for a certain lumen output, but it may have degraded over time. LEDs, you're not going to see that kind of degradation. So, when you're trying to understand and trying to do a comparison, it's important to kind of understand what truly is that lumen output kind of coming out of that fixture, and what was it rated at. And again, if you can kind of work with the e-conolight team on that to try and figure that out. But when you're talking about lumen output and lumen consistency, as I said, for LED fixtures, that stuff is tested in those kind of those higher and lower ambient temperatures and for the lifetime. So you're not going to see lumen degradation that you might on some of more of the traditional technologies. The one thing I wouldn't mention is if you do have questions or confusion about, hey, I've got this big amount of space, how much light do I need, or what kind of type of fixture I need, e-conolight can help you with that lighting layout thing I just mentioned. You can call us up, send us an email or something, and we can kind of help to say, hey, this fixture may make sense, or this amount of lumen output maybe makes sense for the space that you're looking at.
All right. Next question. Do you recommend any particular type of LED for linear fluorescent retrofit, plug and play versus replacing ballast with drivers, etc.?
So, recommend. Those are all out there. The product, we have a product coming out on e-conolight.com that's going to be a type B, which is not the plug and play, it's the direct wire. Again, and I think there's an advantage with that product because of you're not having to worry about the ballast and the lifetime of that lifetime of the compatibility of that ballast. There's been that can create issues and stuff like that when you're talking about a retrofit either with fluorescence or that LED plug and play. So I would say going with more of the type B, which is the kind of direct wire, or the type C, which is having the driver outside, I think really makes the most sense. But truly, all three options in an LED retrofit, I would just recommend going LED.
All right. In the LED manufacturers community, is there anything being done to bring some consistency to the LED color output? There seems to be a significant color difference between manufacturers for the same specified color.
That's an interesting point. I guess what I would say with that is that what you might be seeing there is a difference. Maybe a difference in testing or LED quality. Those things are rated, and some of that may come back to some of the color shifting. I don't know if this person's speaking specifically about LEDs, but, a lot of it, as I mentioned with the e-conolight products, we go through a full gamut of testing, including that color verification to make sure that CCT that we're rating it, obviously fits within that, and we measure that over a period of time through testing, et cetera. I can't speak, obviously, industry industry-wide, but as far as some sort of standard, I mean, the standards have been set, obviously, for what color temperatures equal what Kelvin and everything, but, you know, I guess what I would say is from a market perspective, the LEDs are continuing to get better, right? And so as they get better, and they're, you know, any sort of color changing or color shifting or inconsistency in colors across you know, various fixtures, I believe will be going away. But I guess you know, what I would just recommend, you know, from a color, going with a product that obviously performs real well. And, you know, as I said here in e-conolight, we do that type of testing and evaluate that color temperature very, very closely, because we understand how important it is, whether you're replacing a traditional or new construction, whatever, to have that light the way that the customer contractor wants it. So.
Did you speak about, I was curious on the last question, did you speak about CRI, if that might be something to look at in terms of what could be causing the differences there?
Yeah, that could be causing it too. I didn't touch on CRI. CRI obviously is color rendering index, and really is sort of the measurement that we have to basically determine, you know, the true accuracy of the colors. You know, we say in that world, it makes colors appear true and natural. You know, and that's another advantage of LED that I didn't really actually mention in the slide deck today is, you know, fluorescence typically exists somewhere around 65 to 80 CRI, with LED really a base being about the 8. You could see some in the 70, but mostly that 80 CRI and up. Yeah, that higher color rendering can basically make the whites look whiter and stuff in your spaces and other things. And there are a lot of LED options out there at a higher CRI, at a 90 CRI. You know, we talk about sunlight. Think about sunlight as 100 CRI, which makes everything look the way it's supposed to. But when you're talking about lighting an indoor space above that 90, 95 CRI, it really makes it makes your space pop. It just makes it look better. It makes the colors that appear in that space more true and natural. And you can find a lot of LED options on our website and across the market where you can find that kind of where you can find kind of that 80 to 90 and 90 and above CRI ratings. But that, yeah, as far as that doesn't necessarily totally correlate to a CCT, but it basically, you know, again, it kind of amplifies the space and amplifies the colors in the space at that CCT.
All right. So this next question, I think you said earlier that there's no degradation with LEDs, correct, over time?
I mean, I don't know if I want to say completely no, but when you compare it to the more traditional technology, you do not see the type of light degradation that you do, and they are tested to last, obviously, a very long time at that rated lumen output. So, yeah, very little degradation, especially compared to the traditional, more traditional lighting options.
Okay, because this listener is saying, the question is, I've read many times that LED lifetimes are defined as time to reach 50% of initial lumens. Is there any truth to this, or is this something that only applies to video display LED backlighting?
Yeah, I could tell you in the lighting fixture space, that's not necessarily accurate. I don't really have a lot of background on kind of LED backdrop type stuff. But yeah, I could tell you from from an LED perspective, yeah, when you're buying a fixture, you're buying it for the rated lifetime of the product and its performance in that lifetime. And, you know, I mean, and along with that, if for whatever reason that fixture isn't working over that time span, et cetera, you know, obviously there are typically warranties on these products. You know, e-conolight offers 5-year warranties on products, et cetera, which is actually a lot better than some of the other sites that are out there. But that would be one thing I would recommend to kind of look at as well. So when you're looking at lighting fixtures and talking about lifetime and performance over that lifetime, the warranty really is a big thing there. And how long is the vendor or the company, whatever, you know, going to stand behind it, and that's the real key indicator there. But yeah, as far as rating to 50%, that's not necessarily accurate. All
right. Can you? We threw out the terms CRI and CCT. I'm not sure if we actually define what those are. This listener wants to know if we can define CRI and CCT.
Yeah, CRI is color rendering index, and as I kind of mentioned, it's sort of it's basically a measurement, an indicator of, I can get maybe more into it, but basically it's a rendering of how true and natural basically it makes the colors look. So, you know, CRI is kind of based on the type, basically the types of LEDs. Again, there are, just like in a lot of other spaces, there are LEDs at particular levels, and how those, you know, so basically CRI helps us to determine how those CRIs are basically put together inside the product, inside the fixture, and then what kind of LEDs are they, and basically the output of that is what our measurement is of the CRI, and it basically is our measurement to tell customer or whoever how does it make the room, how does it make the room look, etc. So that's kind of that one. CCT is the color temperature, so that's kind of the range of the 2700. It can go all the way down, but like typical baseline is sort of a 2700, 3000K, all the way up to like a 6000, 6500K, and that's just sort of the color of the light. So so if you look at like a 2700 or 3000, that's a little bit warmer. So think about, you know, like a table lamp in a living room or something like that, or the sun as it begins to go into sunset, that kind of a little bit of an orange, kind of an orange type of a look. That's more of the 2700, 3000K, and then as you go up the scale, that gets it to more, you know, 5000K is rated as true daylight, which if you were to go outside, that's kind of what 5000K is rated at. And then you think about you know, a lot of street roadway lamps, stuff like that. Those are kind of much higher in the 5,000 to 6,000K range. So that's kind of what CCT is. So hopefully that helped.
Yeah, I think that was a really good explanation. Okay, next question. Can you explain the difference in the downlights I can buy at my local Orchard Supply compared to the C-Light ones on e-conolight?
Yeah, so Orchard Supply, so out on the West Coast. Yeah, it's tough to know what kind of downlights you're getting there. I would say that the C-Light downlights that we're currently offering on e-conolight are more of a residential retrofit. So you might see some common products at Orchard Supply or other type of, maybe some other bit, you know, retailers like that. I can't speak specifically to what they carry, so but I can tell you, yeah, that the C-Light retrofit downlights are sort of they're a great baseline product. Again, we just talked about CRI, 90 CRI, so really good color rendering. They last 35,000 hours. They do have the 5-year warranty, which could be a differentiator from what you see in the store. That actually exceeds the Energy Star minimum for that product. It is an Energy Star rated downlight as well. And we've got it kind of in different color options, which I'm betting that they probably don't offer the same type of color packages, CCT packages, in an Orchard Supply. Again, I don't know for sure, but in an Orchard Supply than we do on our website. We offer a 2700, 3000, and a 4000K. Typically, what you find in some of the more residential retailers is more of the 2700K and the more of the 5000K. So we offer some different CCT options, as I kind of just went through the definition of that online as well. And I think pretty competitive pricing with where the market is. But yeah, you'll typically tend to find in like an Orchard Supply some retrofit type stuff. So there might be some similarities between the downlight you would find there and what you might find on e-conolight.
Yeah, I wonder if you want to speak to, just again, I mean, I just in speaking with you and some others at e-conolight, it seems like e-conolight's really driven to help contractors out rather than, you know, just put a product out there. And I mean, you've mentioned it numerous times. So I wonder if that's a differentiator too.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right. I mean, I don't want to keep harping on it, but yeah, I mean, with an Orchard Supply, you're not going to get that kind of support like you do kind of with e-conolight, where we've got customer service people who are really, you know, lighting experts who can help you with installation, who can help you guide with what kind of light you're looking for. Does the downlight you're looking at make sense? You know, do we have another solution that maybe makes more sense? Again, they can help you with lighting layout plans. You know, all of that type of stuff. You're not going to get that type of service. And at those 5-year warranties, which you're not going to see everywhere either, certainly in some of those retail spaces. So e-conolight does offer all that, and we are really truly built for the contractor. And, you know, sometimes you go into those, like an Orchard Supply, you know, they've got a lot of everyday kind of DIYers sometimes in there, and they don't always have that support that maybe a contractor's looking for.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have right now, so I'm going to issue a last call. If anybody has any questions they want to ask James, go ahead and put it in your Q&A box. I do want to reiterate that we are recording this, so if you missed anything and you want to come back to it, or you want to share it with one of your colleagues or friends, we're going to make that available to you after the presentation is concluded. So look out for that notification in your email, and we'll make sure you have all the links, and feel free to reach out to me directly by email too. I can answer any questions you might have, or anything else you might need. So, all right. Well, we got one more. Let's go ahead and do this one and close it up. So, this last question is: do dimmable LED systems ever create radio interference problems with audio systems?
Yeah, so I could talk a little bit to that. Again, it depends on the type of fixture, type of bulb, but I can tell you that a lot of LED fixtures are rated for EMC output, and basically kind of what kind of radio waves are being put out. And I know that's a diligent part of the testing that we do at e-conolight as far as our products, that we measure kind of within the FCC guidelines is basically what our EMC on our lamps or downlights or fixtures, whatever, have to be to help interfere with whether it's an audio system or, you know, a microwave or something like that, or even like a, you know, stuff like that. All that stuff is rated and tested to make sure that within that it's not sending out tons of waves, that when you install the, you know, radio waves or whatever, that when you're installing these, they're impacting the ability of your other appliances and stuff to work. So yeah, LED technology, a lot of the fixtures that go through testing. And again, that's why, you know, I can't say for everything, but I know with e-conolight and with a lot of fixtures that are out there in the market that there is a lot of testing done around that to make sure that does not happen, whether it's dimmable or not dimmable, by the way.
All right. All right. Well, thanks, James. This was really great. I think the presentation was awesome, and I think we had some really good questions. So do you have any final thoughts?
I don't. I just want to thank everybody for their time. Hopefully you can check us out on econolight.com, and hopefully you choose LED in the future. All
right. On behalf of Electrical Contractor and e-conolight, I want to thank everyone for attending. Be on the lookout for the recording of this event, which you'll be notified about in your email soon. And I'm going to go ahead and end the event now. We hope to see you in a future webinar.